Previously on Fright Night Friday.
Hello again, everyone. And my name is Erik Sprowls, and I was the series creator of the television series Frightening Fridays.
And this is Ben Willis, part-time actor, part-time writer, part-time fog machine operator on the show.
And we were both involved with the greatest show in the history of man. Frightening Fridays, of course, is what we're referring to. And for the next half hour, we're going to take you on a behind-the-scenes journey in our continuing chapters of how we brought this television series to life.
Best episodes, I think. One of the best, best done episodes. Best, what's the word I'm looking for? We made it
highest quality.
Highest quality. Realized one of the best realized episodes. I think we came up with was this musical episode.
Yeah, I think it was too. I think we saved our best for last, and that's probably what the most frustrating part is for everyone that was involved with the show. That just when we knew what the hell we were doing, and this thing started to progress like a well-oiled machine, the university asked me to move on, and I left, and consequently the show did not continue. So
talk of it though. I remember there was a couple nights at Applebee's. You know, those of us who got back together, we kind of half seriously considered for a while trying to find a way to keep the show going on our own, but then of course it never would have worked out.
I do remember those conversations where we kind of sat around and said, well, how can we do it? Where can we shoot it? We were trying to think of like places to shoot it, but then we would love to have done it, but then where would we have aired it, and what would be the point? So it kind of just fell by the wayside.
I think we had considered trying to syndicate it to like other colleges. I think that was going to be our way to get to the masses. Nowadays, we just do it in someone's basement and stick it on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, of course, YouTube wasn't even around 3 years ago, was it? 04?
It just wasn't so popular.
I remember at the time thinking, how would we do that? Because I've been there, done that, trying to syndicate it to other colleges, and that's the kind of thing that gets real old real fast. But now with YouTube, I have friends out there that I used to work with on the other shows that I had worked on with a horror theme, and they do their own internet shows. I know two of them off the top of my head. There's ironically, a place in Pittsburgh called Castle Blood does their own
website.
Does their own show called the Midnight Monster Hop on Saturday nights at midnight, and Howling Horror Theater does theirs on Friday nights at midnight. So
you could win a copy
Creep Show
of the Creep.
We tried these giveaways. I don't think anyone ever called in though.
Oh no, I didn't know. There were. Oh yeah, there were. Oh yeah, absolutely.
You gave them away?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I never heard. That's why.
Yeah. They called in. We gave the private line, and they called in and wanted to win copies, and they did. They won just that. So they won copies of Creep Show, and in fact, one of the special features on this disc is you get to see the call-in. We don't include the movie with our DVD release here, but we do. We do include the cut-in as a special feature.
Little Shop. Wrong version of Little Shop. Oh, I love
The one with Rick Moranis and Steve Martin.
I can't remember who suggested the hat thing.
It was funny.
Those are from the Bloomsburg University concert choir. I stole that hat and cane from, by the way. That's where those came from.
I noticed when I was watching this episode later, and I forgot about him doing the whole thing with the hat and the cane, and I kind of tuned in late when I was putting this together, and I saw you standing there. I said, why is Ben standing there with a pull stick in his hand?
It's a half-inch wooden dowel. It's been spray painted black, and it has ends dipped in a can of white paint. That's all it is.
Yeah. But I got to say, too, this was our most complicated episode I think we did.
The first one that took 2 weekends to finish, wasn't it?
It took a couple weeks to do, and we had rehearsals because there were dance numbers and choreography. And it was more like, it wasn't really an episode where people sang, but it was more like a lip sync kind of thing.
It was more the physical actions were the most important thing. So if you didn't get the timing down, if you didn't get the lip sync, if you didn't get the choreography, it didn't work.
almost like a what would happen if a spell was cast on our characters that you had to karaoke all the time.
Oh, I should mention this too. This actually was done over 3 weeks. Through a period of 3 weeks. First week, we did actually the second half of this shot. Then it was Easter weekend. Then we came back, tried to do the first half of the shot, and some little bastard had stolen Creepy's staff.
Yeah, is this when it happened? Oh, that's right. There's actually a gag right here where you say, "Where is your staff?"
And we had to go back. When we came back and found it gone, we had to rewrite the beginning of this scene to explain, because we had done all the big number shots the first time around. Then when we tore that down, came back and did all these undecorated shots. I don't know why we did it that way, but
I do remember that now.
But we came back. We said, "Crap, it's gone!" So now we had to rewrite this opening. Completely, but the transition into the next shot, we had to write the fact that I was going to summon the staff from wherever the hell it was. It was like, Clasu, Verata, Victo, appear, or something like that. I don't know.
And I like how and I like it whenever you do it. You make the spell here, and Creepy's kind of watching you do it. And I made a point to, after you go Niklotos, like the big line, I cut all the sound effects, including the howling wind, the noise. It's just the dead air in the studio, and he's like, nothing.
Boom, and it appears.
Yeah, it was 10 times more effective, I think, that way.
Is better than Jack
I also had an effect. You start doing a thing where you're doing a thing with your hands, like you're like a good pianist, like cracking your knuckles, and I added knuckle cracking noise.
Kind of.
God, that hurts. You're gonna have arthritis.
Do it.
Stop it! That's horrible. Ah, stop it! You're gonna have arthritis, man. Oh, good lord.
Here it is.
He's sitting there cracking his knuckles in the studio. I think the character's a little bit more effective.
Much better. Observe.
Observe.
Omnibus.
Now,
Creabus.
here we go.
Vocame cum benedictus.
That's actual Latin, by the way. That's from the Mass for the Dead. It's Confutatis Maledictus.
Oh, no kidding. I didn't know that.
Confutatis Maledictus vocame cum benedictus. That's actual Catholic Latin.
Now, some of these effects obviously were enhanced for this, like the colored lights and stuff like that, but those are real props people bring in, like the colored lights in the background, the disco lights.
Built that jacket for Joel. Specifically, we said we needed, I don't know whose it was, but you gotta remember that we were shooting this in like March, so of course someone had a red jacket lying around. Too small for Joel, but that didn't stop him.
I can tell you exactly whose it is. It belonged to our technical director, Jody Reichert, because she never let him forget it. They said, "You ruined my jacket," to make him look like Michael Jackson, and that was the end of it.
He's just a cardboard around for his shoulder pads, his shoulder wings. Because I think we had gone online, tried to find a picture of Michael Jackson, and we couldn't really find a good one, so we tried to just do it from memory.
I remember too. There's so many things that the memories come rushing back real quick. There was Leah Wagenblad, who played Gigi, choreographed the dance scenes in this, and I remember, and they're also available on here as special features of the behind the scenes of us doing the choreography for that. But she choreographed most of the dance numbers on here. It was pretty good. I think we did a pretty good job. You know, we start off with Thriller, and it's appropriate for the show. Michael Jackson, the most famous video of all time on MTV. And of course, now this scene.
This is the best thing, in my opinion, we ever did on the show. One of the most hilarious concepts, because it's the song. It's the song that everyone hates from what was it? Happy Gilmore. They parodied this during a scene in Happy Gilmore, and we said.
This is Lionel Richie.
We had to do this song,
and
that's also Joel. This is I think the second time we used split screen.
Now the thing I got to tell you this, and I told you this before we did the commentary. I was disappointed. This was the biggest regret I had when we did this show, and I know you don't agree with me. The split screen is he's in love with himself, and when we dressed Joel up as both Igor and his, I don't know what you want to call it, Sister Mary, is what I heard. You can't really tell it's him unless you're in the close-ups, and the whole effect is lost.
It's true, the split screen is almost too good. That you can kind of see in the floor there that it splits, but I mean, we actually had people standing in those places to cast shadows, and they almost lined up.
Yeah, I remember that. This was a very difficult scene to do, and especially in post-production. It's no easy feat. Now, you'll see a lot of zooms. Like that zoom right there on the 2-shot, you had to time that in post-production by the decimal point, by the number to make them match. It was a complicated effect, but...
It worked. It's in my opinion, one of the... I think that won for effects at the award show we had that year. I
was nominated. I don't know if it won, but I don't think it won Best Effect. Did it?
I believe that scene right there did win Best Effect.
But that's something that probably, I think it was Christina Crafty that talked me into doing that, dressing him up as a woman and as Joel, and I wish, in retrospect, in hindsight, hindsight's all 20/20, I probably would have done it differently second time around.
I think part of the problem stemmed from the fact we couldn't find a wig, but I had a mask that had a lot of hair, so we stuck the mask on the back of his head and threw the wig over his face. So then we had to cover up the mask with that shawl, and that just covered him up a bit too much.
Yeah.
That shawl.
And again... Yeah, I think probably too. Like I said, if we would have done it again, I probably would have kept him in the same Igor outfit or close to it.
Put a bow on his head, or just a wig.
Yeah, so he could have been the female version of Igor. But you really couldn't. The whole effect was lost.
Balls in his shirt or something.
That's a good one. Now, of course, here we have Agent Mahler still looking for Scully, who's been missing for 2 or 3 episodes, 2 or 3 weeks now, and this kind of it's a standalone episode, but it keeps the mythology arc going. He stumbles into the castle with the mystical magical spell, and that was an edit, so all of a sudden now he has a face like one of the lead drummer from Kiss, not Gene Simmons, but I can't remember his name. And I don't know why we did Cats. We started off with Cats. We should have just went right into Kiss.
I think that was a Jeremy thing. He suggested that. He did this. Jeremy did this pantomime. I think in the writing room, we said we have to keep it even if he's not doing it, and then we just go right into Kiss.
Yeah, and I love it too. Not so much the flame, but Kiss was known for its pyrotechnics and its flame. But I love the lighters in the foreground make that scene, because he's and his tongue and everything, and they just disappear. When the spell's broken, they disappear. I thought that was just perfect.
He still has the makeup on.
Yeah, it's the one thing we couldn't get out of. We couldn't get the makeup off of him quick enough, but it did the scene. I love the flame, and I love Creepy's little thing here.
That's one of the things, if you notice, when he closed the door, sometimes we kind of had to keep it from locking shut because it had this big, loud, obnoxious clack every time the door actually snapped shut.
It was a downside, too, because if you were on the other side of that door when it closed, you would get locked in there.
There was no latch on the other side, which never made any sense to me.
And that, of course, is right outside Masscom. That's actually the hallway outside the Mass Communication Department.
Igor singing to...
No, I'm just kidding. That's actually outside Mike DeShane's house.
Well, sir, I can't really speak for Igor.
Sub-level.
By the looks of things, you must have...
Sorry, Mendoza's house.
According to the spell,
That's your
apparently
bedroom.
one hell of a warlock.
Just kidding.
Oh, was this...
Oh, yeah. And this is Gigi's segment for her to do Pretty Woman. Now, are you supposed to be the one... Now, I looked at this later because the show was dark. We tried to brighten it up a little bit. Are you supposed to be singing this?
I think so, yeah.
I think I caught you singing this. I know you say the word mercy.
I did lip sync to the entire thing. It wasn't always on shot, but I did lip sync during the entire takes.
Because Gigi obviously is the main attraction here, but you're singing right there. See what I mean?
The way we did these scenes, actually, with all this music, we had a little tiny boombox sitting just off camera. It was like right just off to the left of the screen there, right beyond the door. And on cue, one of the crew member would just hit the play button, and we'd start syncing as best we could. That was the only way we could do this, within a reasonable amount of time and with the most minimal effort.
Yeah, and that was no easy thing to do either, because we had, if the one thing screwed up...
It's going all over the
Yeah, and he's still going. Nice hair.
I never got a chance to, rock out, do a decent headbang on the show. It would have been awesome.
That would have been money to pay for.
I've done it other places. Of course, my hair is nowhere near that long anymore. I cut it. Of course, it's almost. By this time, though, I had let it grow. I had not cut it since the previous fall. So it was getting really long by this point.
That's another thing, too, playing off what you said earlier. Trying to we're playing the song on the boom box that people would have to dance to, and the thing is, you just can't stop and start and stop and start. So it kind of gave the students the opportunity to experience what it's like to make a music video, to see what Britney Spears or Jessica Simpson or Carrie Underwood or any of these people have to experience when they're singing a song in a video that they have to mouth the words up to. So you have to plow through and then rewind it and do it in another camera angle.
The spell follows him back to his office.
Well, the spell later on follows Scully into that warehouse.
This is the hallway just outside the studio, and the door, not the big double door, but the door right off to his right there, that is the radio studio, which explains why, CJ, who's playing the janitor, pops out from there, because that was her actual office.
Yeah, and the funny thing is here, this is where the drunk guys on Friday night would shop. Mahler! Scully's right behind you! You don't have to look for her anymore, you idiot! Because, right behind Mahler, who's doing the dance in there, is Christina Crafty on the left, who actually plays Agent Scully with a hat pulled down and a midriff going on. And our technical director, Jody Reichert, in ponytails. They don't quite look like they normally do.
Swap that floor!
Sorry.
Get back to the movie!
And we added all that confetti on purpose, and the explosions of confetti, because the end of Footloose, the original movie Footloose with Kevin Bacon, had all of that celebration going on with the falling confetti. It was the 80s. It was a different time. They had that big confetti thing going on, so we added it there in post.
Well, at least I'm not in love with myself.
Well, here's another 80s reference.
What's going on around here?
Yeah, here's another reference to the 80s.
Everyone's acting like maniacs.
Again, Jeremy wonders why he's called gay. And I love Joel's reaction, like, what the hell is this? I'll tell you what, Jeremy's in pretty good shape to be doing that.
I can't remember if and this is a lot of things. The thing with a lot of these things that we were parroting, a lot of the people hadn't seen a lot of the movies and shows that we were parroting half the time. So those of us who had seen it had to try to describe what was going on. I don't know if Jeremy had even seen Flashdance at this point.
No, and I tell you what, it was probably beyond... I was probably the only one in the room that was alive when this movie was made. It came out in 1980, and it's a story about a steel worker. That's why you see the welding and the steel. A woman who was a steel worker in Pittsburgh who wanted to be a dancer, and there was scenes where you would have that light in the background shining directly, making a silhouette where she's supposed to be dancing and stripping and it all. And the big scene in Flashdance, yeah. The big scene was where she gets water dumped on her.
Piss bucket.
Yeah, that's a good blooper if you see our blooper reel, because Joel had told Jeremy just prior to that he
makes the throw it on. I just peed in here.
He told him he just pissed in that bucket and splash. And Jeremy's like, huh? Oh, God, that's great. Oh, I miss these days. I really miss doing this show. We had so much camaraderie going on behind the scenes. I don't know what Jeremy's doing here. Look at it. Just watch him in this whole scene right here. I don't get it. What?
Singing and dancing because you're stuck in the
It was weird.
musical.
So he kind of comes out of it here.
What makes you so special?
I don't know, but I'm just glad that...
Can't tell if he's trying to play a character or not.
I can't tell if he's trying to play it gay. I'm just kidding, Jeremy. He'll probably kill me for that.
I mean, the only thing that was worth anything in that movie...
He did pretty good. I tell you what, he did a good acting job playing it this way. And of course, here comes the spell. And Creepy was just bragging how he's not affected. Save the best for last, I guess. We do the whole Dennis parody. Now, this is a parody from...
Oh my gosh, look at all that dancing.
And tell you what, no one can take a pratfall like Joe. Joel. Watch Joel here, Igor. His whole body goes down like a sack of cement. And this is, of course, is a parody of the scene with Steve Martin in The Little Shop of Horrors, which was the musical version.
This was showing the old school version. The old Hammer. I think it was Hammer. No, it wasn't Hammer. No, it wasn't Hammer. Who did this?
It was Roger Corman.
Was it Corman? That's right.
That would be me throwing the sheet on him. That's my big cameo, my arms.
screwdriver. I don't
This
know.
was nicely choreographed.
Don't know where he found that foot-long screwdriver. I think it was just sitting around somewhere.
Joel, I like how it's still stuck in his mouth. And this was nice because everybody wanted a cameo. The fog guy, John Weand, it showed the crew, the on-air light, the technical crew in the control room.
She slowly just
There's the girl who plays Gwendolyn.
takes everyone down in the background.
I can't remember who owned all of those electronic lights and stuff, the spin lights.
No, I don't think it was Ted.
I can't remember who owned him at the time, but it was really nice. I think he might have. And the little thuds and the oofs are little tributes to the old Batman series. I think that Mike DeShane, who plays Creepy, really tagged Joel there.
We certainly made contact. Kind of a jumping ending. I don't remember what he actually said at the end there.
I think he threw it.
Didn't quite work.
I think he threw it to commercial, and actually we were rejoining the finale of the movie, and I had to do some kind of voiceover there, re-edit the scene.
From previous takes. Here we go. Lovely bunch of coconuts.
Who made that up? I thought that was
I
priceless.
didn't make that. That's an actual song. I had to... Of course, everyone knows it from The Lion King now.
Oh, no kidding.
I know the verse. Down at an English fair, 189 was there, when I heard a showman shouting underneath the flare, I've got a lovely bunch. I tried forever to get Mike to say, I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts, which is the way the song actually goes. But he wouldn't. He just wanted to sing it straight. But oh well, it works.
Well, there's your Cedric accent you've been searching for.
Not quite. No.
There it is right there. It's a hive. And, of course, we wrap things up here. The spell's over, and you say, I wonder if it affected anybody. There's a shot of, it's... I wonder if it affected anybody else.
Maybe if I try to play Santa again, it would come back.
Yeah, when you were the English Santa.
We played Santa, and it ended up being Cedric dressed as Santa. Somehow, I could not get the joke.
So it was nice to do a couple of standalone episodes from the mythology. Now, the outfit you see in the background is the one that I wore on another show as a bad guy when I played the character of Cannibal Spectre.
Tying her up every take.
Yeah, that was. She loved to be tied up. No, just kidding. That's played by Ed Shudak now. I passed the torch on to somebody else. I got tired of that kind of thing, and he was.
Chisel? What was that?
Yes, I think it was a chisel.
Again, there's something random lying around the back of the studio. I mean, it's all these tools that we just find. And
I thought this was a good song. This is a good girl power song.
it's the best choice for the way to close it too. It's the escape song. I mean,
Or so she thinks, because the evil Reaper has let her go. It's not really an escape. He's just letting her think that.
stop singing though. As soon as she started moving, she couldn't bring herself to lip sync and scoot back at the same time.
Well, she had the scissors in her mouth, though. I guess. Yeah, I guess so. We never thought about that.
I love how she just opens the scissors and the things are coming untied.
Well, I remember she never actually cut the rope. We didn't want to really tie her up because we needed the rope for something. So we kept doing the fast edits back and forth, and she eventually got out. You're led to believe she cut herself loose, and when in fact she did not. This
is something neat. This is like the only time I think we use this. This is an actual catwalk back into the studio, and it led up to the second floor for God knows why. I mean, it's just a bunch of a set of doors up in the ceiling of the room, and I
think it's a classroom up there you can observe or something. But
as far as I know, it served no purpose except maybe at one point it was an emergency exit.
And of course, she escapes there, and it turns out that he has actually let her go. She's been missing for several weeks, and it's because he has brainwashed her. And she's going to go back and do his bidding. That's a pretty sweet outfit, I think. I think, you know what, the gloves he has on are the actual gloves that Creepy uses, so it's a good thing they never really met and fought each other, because we would have been screwed.
I can't tell they don't quite fit him. Kind of bunch up. He had such freaking huge arms too. You can see there.
Ted Shudak is a big man. Yeah.
Oh jeez. Oh yeah, the one.
On the one tie-in we do with all musicals, they had a big cast call at the end with the music and the looks and everything, the turnaround looks by all of the stars. And of course, we have the closing thing where it says produced in Technicolor, the end. We did the whole thing just like a musical.
I love this closing.
And then we done Wouldn't Last Spell because Creepy and Gigi were really good at dancing old 40s music. So we let them do one last dance over the credits. And they are pretty good here. I think Gigi, or Leah, choreographed this whole thing with Mike.
They sat down long time before that. They, during some other scenes, they were out just dancing this for about, I think, an hour beforehand at least, maybe 2, just working out everything they're going to do.
Hey, we got to wrap it up. We don't have the traditional credits here.
Oh, this is it. This is the end.
But I got to say... One last gag. I do like his one-liner at the end.
Yep, so we'll shut up and let him say it.
So pro.
No. Go clean something already.
That was beautiful. Until the next disc.
Bye.
Take care. Bad luck and worst wishes. Erik and Ben out.